Hi, I'm Bob Nagy, AB5N, otherwise known as the ICOM microphone guy. I'm going to start doing what I call straight-up reviews and tell you everything you need to know about a piece of amateur radio equipment in order to make an informed purchase decision in a really short time. Today we're going to look at the ID-51 talkie, their top-of-the-line D-Star Plus FM talkie. What an amazing piece of equipment. So let's take a look. Right out of the box, this radio feels excellent. The form factor, the fit in the hand, it's just perfect. And the display is large and super detailed, so there's plenty of room for all kind of text scrolling across, for showing both bands at once, and especially your D-Star information. It has a built-in GPS. Here's the antenna right up here. You can turn it on and turn it off, and that really helps this thing function. It has 1,000 regular programming channels and plus banks of other ones too. 5 watts is the max power out on this radio, and there's 4 power level settings. That really helps. Audio and transmit and receive is excellent. I'm not talking good or very good. I'm talking excellent. The speaker's not so large, but it has a really good bass and treble to it, and it doesn't really blast super loud, but it's really clean and really natural sounding. Button interface over here is a 4-way pivoting button, and this is for mainly D-Star control. Lets you access everything you need. And you'll see there's no touch tone pad on this, but you don't need it because there's speed dial built into this. And the functions you need for D-Star are extremely advanced on this, so touch tone is really a secondary thing. Let's talk about its strong points. First, it has better transmit audio than any ICOM mobile rig. You heard what I said. That's right. Great transmit audio. And it has real dual band receive, even 2 bands in 2 frequencies in the same band. And it has a really good FM broadcast receiver. It's sensitive. The AM one's so-so, but the FM, wow, it's about as good as an FM receiver gets. And prior to this, FM receivers in these kind of radios were lousy. You can listen to your repeater, you can be scanning the public service band, and listening to the FM radio all at the same time, and it intelligently balances them. You can also adjust the individual volumes between them. Sensitivity and overall performance, basic specs, very, very good. I didn't see any real compromises on the QST in-depth lab report on this radio. ICOM has really refined their interface through the years, and in the old days, if you didn't use the radio for a while, you'd pretty much have to pull out the manual and read it again after a couple of months of not using it. But not so on this radio. All of these buttons here are stuff we're familiar with, and it has a dual function by holding it in, but bam, you can just look at it and you know what to do. So it's very, very intuitive. Now, the way most people program these radios is to buy software. It does have a ICOM programming software available, and you can actually do that without having a programming cable, because the SD card over here comes out of the radio, and you can just put it into your PC. There's a little SD slot over here, and you can program the card in your computer and then pop it back into the radio. Those memory banks then are loaded into the radio's RAM, and as well you can save the ones that are on the radio's memory banks into the card. So the stock battery on this baby is not that large, but it seems to run all day for me, especially running with a hotspot and low power here in the shack. And when I have to pump it up a few times, I'm out mobile, it's fine. It doesn't kill it. Those lithium batteries are really excellent. And then they do make an extra large one, a lithium battery pack. It's not cheap, but it might be worth getting for you. It is, of course, waterproof as well. Initial runs of these, they had a little bit of too much of a membrane in the microphone hole over here to cut down on the audio just a little bit. They fixed that. You can see a little white membrane in there now indicating the upgraded one. Also, you can get a AA battery pack shell for this and run 3,000 mAh AA cells in there, and that would last for a long time. So let's talk about the radio's interesting features. First of all, it has an internal audio recorder, and that means you can record just notes saying, a grocery list, or it can record your QSO as well, and you can have a lot of hours of recording time on this radio's internal SD card, micro SD card. So that's sort of keen, and then you can just play it back later, so you record a net or something like that. And its GPS can be sent through the D-Star system to perform APRS. So even though it's not a traditional APRS type of radio like some of the older Kenwood talkies, you can just set it to go ahead and grab your position information off the GPS and send that out with you while you're transmitting on D-Star, and that goes right into the APRS system. So, and as well, when you set up your hotspot, that can show up on the APRS maps as well. So, dozens of hours of audio, you can save your memories, and you can also update the D-Star repeater list on the card into the radio, so you can keep that list of all the D-Star repeaters fresh in here in the memory data bank. It has a band scope function as well. We've seen that before, somewhat useful sometimes. It has the weather channel monitoring and alarm function. It also has separate AM and FM broadcast memories. That's sort of keen. It also has GPS memories for memorizing places that you've been, and it allows you to take a GPS track where it logs your GPS position as you're moving along. So you can dump that back out into software and see your track as you were hiking up a mountain or something like that. The DR mode is very important in this radio, and that is that it has this data bank of all these D-Star repeaters, and you can use the DR mode here by pressing this. It will use your GPS position and show you the repeaters that are near you, and you can bam, hit it, and it automatically programs the radio. You're ready to go into that repeater. It can also grab incoming calls and all kind of things like that are D-Star functions with your 4-way control pad over here. We'll take a quick look at what this radio is really broken ground with, and that is the DR mode. And our D-Star control wheel over here, we'll push it down and hold it for a split second. The next thing you know, it goes into all of its database on all the D-Star repeaters that are around, and it looks at the GPS, your location, and it gives you the closest repeaters, and it auto programs it as well, so you don't have to do any of the D-Star programming. And you can just select the ones that are closest to you here and hit your execute button, and you're ready to rock and roll. So that has been a big breakthrough. And in fact, the new ID-5100, which is really, I'm thinking the mobile version of this, is going to include the FM repeater database as well. A feature that should have been in these radios, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, as soon as they had the ability to put a GPS dongle on there. Of course, it knows where you are. Put the database of repeaters in and let it auto-program them for you. So that makes this extremely D-Star friendly. Now, with all those Chinese HTs out there, it's harder to plunk down the big bucks for an HT like this, but there's no competition for this HT out there. It's in a league of its own. And if you added an amplifier to this HT, it could be your only D-Star radio. The left side of the radio's got your PTT. It has your squelch adjustment button, and also it functions as a monitor. Turn the squelch off. You got your power, hold it in for 3 seconds, and you got your micro SD slot over here with a waterproof cover. On the right side of the talkie is your mic and speaker connections over here, standard size, and then you've got your data and your DC power in.
C.
There's my hotspot identifying itself. Data scrolling across the screen. So you can run this thing off of a cigarette lighter adapter, or you can go ahead and run it off a power supply. And the data connector over here is where you plug in, and then you go to your USB with a cable, and you can program the radio directly from the software. The battery latch system is really robust. It's got 2 buttons at the top. You push them down, battery comes off, and it's got 3 sets of connectors over here for the power connection. The radio itself, I mean, wow. Amazing, not much there. I usually put a address label sticker on the inside of the battery here. I guess I just leave it somewhere. It snaps right back in. And the top's your pretty standard deal over here. You've got your volume control on the lower one and your channel detent control on the top one. Antenna is a standard SMA connector. Well, it's 2 months into my ownership of the ID-51 Alpha, and I love this radio. It is easily the best handy-talkie I've ever had, and I've owned a lot of handy-talkies. This really shows the incredible depth of experience that ICOM has in producing radios. It's an amazing piece of gear. It is a sort of chuckle to think that the partial silicone sleeve cover that you can buy for this costs about the same as a Chinese dual-band handy-talkie. So the accessories are expensive, the radio is expensive, but this is not even the same animal as a Chinese handy-talkie. This is cutting-edge technology, and it really shows. I want to talk a little bit about D-Star, because D-Star can be daunting if you're first getting into it, but it's good if you've waited till now, because this generation of radios is absolutely the easiest to use on D-Star, and D-Star has had time to mature and get the bugs shaken out of it, so it's a good time to get into D-Star. If you have a repeater in your area, you'll be able to use that programmer on here, the DR mode, and bam, you're going to be on the repeater as soon as this thing's charged up, and you'll have D-Star fun right away. Now, if you don't have a repeater in your area, I didn't, I'm in rural Arkansas, you're going to have to make yourself a DV hotspot, and that can be done with several different circuit boards these days that are available from, here's mine, from several different sources. You've got the DV dongle, that's extremely popular and probably the easiest pathway in. And then you've got the DVR PTR, it's a German board. You've got the Moen board, an excellent board. So you've got a lot of different pathways in it, sort of different costs, not terribly expensive, certainly a lot less than a talkie. And those can be run on the Raspberry Pi, a British microcomputer, one circuit board thing for about $40. And instead of running it on a PC, you can just run it on the Raspberry Pi and not have your PC tangled up there. So those two plug right into the back of any 2-meter or 450 radio that has the little mini DIN data connector and can handle the high-speed data. All of them do these days. You can also set up a hotspot for your entire town because you can hook your little adapter board into a mobile radio, put it up on a regular antenna at 1020 watts, and because D-Star has about a 20-25% more range is what I'm seeing than analog FM, it's pretty easy to cover your area with a D-Star hotspot, and you can make that simplex, one each way, or you can make it a full duplex repeater pretty easy, especially if you do a split band system without having to have duplexers and all that. And these adapter boards are very amenable to making repeaters. Let's go ahead and do a typical D-Star operation on the ID-51. What you do is you set all of your memories up in your D-Star bank for all of the repeaters that you want to connect to and reflectors, which are basically electronic repeaters that repeaters can connect to and individuals can connect to. As well, other than setting up those connection memories, you're going to set up what I call a COM channel or hotspot channel, and that is your neutral position. So the radios actually issue the connect command, and then when you get the connection, you flip it back to your communications channel, which is your CQ setting. And that's just one of the memory channels that's set up that way, and that's the one you're going to carry out your QSO on. Then you also set up one with a U command in there that unlinks you from anything that you're linked to. So I'll flip it over. I've got all my different repeaters and reflectors over here. We'll go over to the 4-Baker, reflector 4B. That's the all Texas repeater system. And I'll just issue the command, and we'll hear what comes back from the hotspot.
Link to REF004 Bravo.
All right, I turned it up a little too loud there. And then I would flip it back to my what I call hotspot channel. That's just the neutral communications channel. You only need one of those. And then you're ready to have your QSO on here. Right now nobody's talking on it. But when I key it up, my call is sent out. Everybody can see my calls scrolling across the screen on their radio. And when you let up on the button on this setup I've got here, it kicks up for a second to show you that you've hit the system. Now say I want to disconnect, I'll just go over to my unlink channel. I've got one of those set up that just has a U in the memory field, and I'm going to hit it.
Not linked.
Not linked. There we go. So that's how simple it is when you're connecting and disconnecting from the D-Star systems.
We definitely are expecting zero again tonight to minus 10 Fahrenheit. So back over to you. Jonathan, Kilo 1 Hotel Florence Radio, thank you very much for the info of the weather from USA, the Italian TV every day, send the movie from USA, the temperature, the weather. In Italy today, in many areas, it is surprise day, the sun coming in about 11 Celsius. But for tomorrow, the prevision is rain, and again rain.
Don't be daunted as well about D-Star being very confusing in the beginning, because what you do is you go out and log into all these Yahoo forums, basically. There's about a half a dozen of them that deal with D-Star. and then just ask some questions, and you will find yourself a D-Star guru, basically. Somebody who's willing to spend all the time it takes walking you through getting your stuff set up. And for me, I had an Australian station, VK4TOX, Adrian, come in. He set up my whole Raspberry Pi over there from Australia by remote control while we were talking through it. So obviously I was quite amazed. But the system is bulletproof now, sitting over there operating, and I'm having a heck of a lot of fun working, Korea from the backyard on a 20 milliwatts or whatever this thing runs in low power, very little power. So 2 thumbs up on the ID-51 Alpha. I say get one.